I I relapsed back into drug addiction.
Things that I thought I'd overcome, sometimes we're put in really stressful situations. We can go into old survival tactics.
It's more than just likes and being viewed or being seen or being heard. Love is to be vulnerable. We are seen, we are heard, we are loved. Rise above from every fear because perfect love casts out fear, and God is here, God is near.
You need to live your own experience and to dissect your own lessons from that, to grow stronger and to transform the grief into wisdom.
The question is, when was the time you felt vulnerable and you decided to share it with somebody or took action on it?
Well, I feel like I'm being vulnerable in Ubud, like meeting people and sharing, but I feel like I'm kind of reopening because I feel like I went through a stage of my life where I was very vulnerable and then I kind of shut down and then now I'm reopening again. I was reflecting on your question because it's like I feel vulnerable in that space, but I haven't gone to that space yet. You know, when you just like really let it out and you break down, you know, where you feel deep vulnerability, where you feel safe to just, you know what I mean?
Like cry and like sob.
Like really, yeah, really get it. Because I can talk about it, but like fully welcome the emotion of like loss and, you know, all that stuff.
And how about the time you had done it? Like, can you relate to like share a story of like how it happened and kind of how you felt after it?
Well, back home, there was a time with a friend of mine. Like, I'm a therapist for a living, so I was really struggling with feeling my worth and my value. And she ended up, we were just having a conversation, and she ended up wanting to help me. And so I just broke down, and she took me through a process.
And how did that feel? Like sharing it with them?
Liberating, yeah, liberating. I mean, I've done it many, many times. I mean, for me, my journey has been is learning to be vulnerable and to express myself and go in that way. And then I went through an experience where I got really bad PTSD and felt very unsafe and experienced emotional abuse. So I ended up going back into my survival strategy, which is keep everything inside. So then I had to learn to then come back out again. So it's been like a relearning process. It's taught me a lot about things that I thought I'd overcome when sometimes we're put in really stressful situations. We can go into old survival tactics that you think you've overcome, right? And that's something I noticed about myself. I was like, oh my gosh, I've like resorted back to my younger self. And then having to like really face that all again and go through that. And it's a very
And to like accept it, be okay with it.
accepting it, yeah, all of that, yeah.
I'm curious, because as a coach, I help people with social anxiety, confidence. It can be hard for me to be vulnerable about like if I'm feeling not confident, and I'm curious for you as a therapist, does that come up for you when you like do you have this idea in your head like I'm a therapist, I'm supposed to be have amazing mental health and feel like
Yeah, of
not
course.
feel weird sharing it to
Yeah,
others?
I've been there many a time, many a time. I think that's a very natural process as a therapist. I find what helps with that is to bring that honesty and that openness into sessions actually with people, to realize that we don't always have to be okay and that we go through these even if we grow and we flourish and we get, for example, less anxious, more confident. We can still have days where we don't feel great, and it gives the other person permission to go, you know, I don't always have to be here. And even if I go down or feel anxious again, it's just part of the process. So you know what I mean?
Like we're human.
Yeah, we're human, and it gives that reflection of that. So I've learned to incorporate it in that way. But for a long time, I didn't. I was, I was like, oh, I don't know. Yeah, but now I do. And I think that really helps people.
You even share with clients. Wow, that's vulnerable.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Some aspects we do overcome actually, and we don't go there again. But sometimes growth really is about you go through that wave, right?
I'm an entrepreneur for 15 years now. And I came to the point that I was so much in debt that I couldn't go on anymore. I shared that with all of my community. I'm hosting retreats for 10 years now and online programs and everything, and I couldn't go on anymore.
Did you feel your some of your relationships or connections changed after you opened up about that?
I feel like actually the more people are reaching out to me now. New people also from internet that I don't know. They just were touched by my video sharing online. I think it's deepening the relations with the people. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that would be a very challenging thing to share. I think especially for men in particular, maybe.
A little bit too long, I think. I was on a point a few times that I felt like, okay, now it's the time maybe to break this pattern,
Yeah.
to come clean, to come out. Or actually, I was like so connecting to God and like saying, okay, you know, this is my mission, my purpose. I want to go on. So if you let me, I'll do it. And every time I could go on a little bit, until this point that I also had a deadline. Like I need this amount of money. I want to go there. Actually, I was hosting a retreat in Cyprus this week, but I'm not there. I'm here, so I had to cancel the retreat and to bring this out.
And I'm curious, you said it took you a while to share this. What do you think was that thing that inspired you to finally say, like, it's ready, you felt ready, and you need to share it?
I think two things. So one thing, actually, I met a woman here, and she came to me and she was like, "Hey, I love your light, and what's going on?" And I answered like, "Yeah, it's life." And then we met again, and she was so open, and that moment I felt like, hey, I recognize you, and I can be open to you, and that was so I open up to her. I tell the story. So that was one thing, opening up to someone you trust. And the other thing, I was really connecting with myself again, connecting to what I call God, and feeling that also more and more and more every day. A lot in nature here, and taking time to rest. So that love in me were growing. The trust actually in life was growing. So the combination of that was like, okay, this is the time. This is the time to share.
I I relapsed back into drug addiction when I had to share that with my partner, who was not who never knew me as an addict. Was an extremely vulnerable point for me because it was wondering what was going to happen with that. If that was going to if it was going to be the end of my amazing relationship. So yeah, I think that was just like an incredibly vulnerable time for me.
And how did it feel sharing that, like that actual experience of sharing it?
It was a relief, actually. I think, yeah, because in that kind of situation, there's a lot of sneakiness that goes on, and when you love someone and you're being a bit sneaky like that, it feels almost like a betrayal, So to be able to share that and be honest and open about that, it was quite beautiful, actually. Yeah.
You think it like deepened the connection when you were able to share it?
Absolutely, yeah, like 100% for the. I mean, I think that the deepening of the connection came with the reaction from my boyfriend and his unwavering support that he gave me. Because I just look back on that now and I just think, I think that's what makes a relationship more so than just the good times is those difficult times, is how you support each other or not, and what you do through those times. So he was just my absolute rock. So yeah, definitely.
I think those vulnerable moments, like you're unsure how the other person is going to react, but it always so much opportunity for the connection to go deeper from that.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's like in a relationship with connection and connection with yourself as well, because there's a certain amount of ego. Like when you're vulnerable, it's you're without ego, or your ego is kind of not so prominent. I think that's where vulnerability comes from, and it's a matter of having to surrender. I think surrendering plays a big part of our place in and connection with the universe, and our humbleness of towards how great things really are.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing.
So like it's quite easy to say it was just a couple of days ago. Actually, like we broke up with my partner, and it was like quite a feeling for my anahata. And yeah, definitely like such things when you are together and then like when you fall apart, it has a strong influence on you. I took an action on my own. Like I'm actually like a yoga teacher. Yeah, so actually just applied my practices. I went to cleansing ceremonies, and I also was in touch with my friends. It's very important to be in touch with people. When something happens, a grief that is shared between two, it's half of the grief already. Not to be afraid to share something and then to heal yourself with all the tools that you have. It takes a lot of courage, but still we are here for that. We are here for an experience of letting go of the things and growing up powerful again.
So you just shared it with other people, and that allowed you to kind of let go, and it made the process easier.
Yeah, like I work on that, so it's kind of it works. It works all the time when you share that, but just sharing does not help. You need to go through the experience for sure. You need to live your own experience and to dissect your own lessons from that, to grow stronger and to transform the grief into wisdom.
I guess I read initially a book by Sarah Wilson called First We Make the Beast Beautiful, and it's this really beautiful book about mental health and anxiety. And so after I read that, I kind of talked to a few of my friends about anxiety, which I hadn't done before. And it was interesting because in my head, I had this impression that my friends think of me as like neurotic and highly anxious and always, just go, go, go. And when I kind of started talking about anxiety and shared that, like a few of them were like, oh, we just thought you talked a lot. Like we didn't think you were anxious. But I guess being a bit vulnerable and bringing it up meant that now it's something that I'm quite comfortable talking about with friends, and in my past relationship I could talk a lot about kind of mental health and vulnerabilities, and it all started with that book.
And how do you think it changed your relationships and connections when you were able to open up about this?
It probably felt a little bit more real. Well, I guess it helped with, sometimes you can have this story in your head and a lot of that's tied to anxiety anyway, so it's like perceptions of things and kind of building narratives, and the more that you share it, you actually realize that it's not true. So it kind of, reduces all of that. So it probably helped a lot in that with relationships, because I probably would tell myself a lot of things about what my friends thought of me or what people thought about me, and I realized that's not true. And so then I could just be more comfortable connecting with people and not worrying about what they think about me.
To me, I just think that's what like shame is. Like, shame is just that part of us that thinks the thing that's wrong with us is like just us. Everybody else is fine, and there's this dark thing that doesn't want to be seen. Once you just share it, it like releases so much of that.
Yeah.
All right, Gideon, when was a time you felt vulnerable and you decided to share it with somebody, or you took action on it?
Just recently, I had a chat with my friend, Emily, and we were vulnerable to mention that we had an inner child wound, like emotional neglect, which was like the emotional needs that was unmet. And so we tend to seek attention from others as a form of love. So we kind of like thought that attention was love because of that neglect. Turns out attention is not love. Love is so much greater than just like attention. It's more than just likes and being viewed or being seen or being heard. Love is to be vulnerable. So as the word of Roland May was saying, to love is to be vulnerable. I believe that we're here to be as poor as we can in the spirit so that we may be blessed to attain the kingdom of heaven in the word of Christ. So Christ he's my way, he's my guru. More than just a guru, he moksha, he goes straight heaven. And I'm like, I want to walk on water with this guy.
And since you're talking about rap and poetry, do you want to make a rap about vulnerability and to inspire people to be more vulnerable?
Who am I? Who am I really? I'm just a speck of humanity, formed out of the frequency, let there be light, and I found that light. All I am is just trying to be right, but God says, nah, you just gotta keep going. Declare that poverty in the spirit let me give you my deposit of eternity. So all you could be is just be human, just like my own son, Christ, that came to the world to die for everyone. It is done. It is finished. No longer that we have to strive, bound by religion, but we are set free by the arms of liberation of humankind, and we could be ourselves. Finally, we've been set free to JC, who set us free. We are seen, we are hurt, we are loved. Rise above from every fear, because perfect love casts out fear, and God is here, God is near on this atmosphere inside Yuri. It's more than just a place to get calorie. Listen to his musicality. We are made by the image of divinity, the Almighty, the Trinity, a family, as I'm made to provide, to protect, and my future wife are made to nurture. We don't know what holds the future, but God is already there, above, beyond every nature. So let us come into the state of our being, our identity, in a clarity of vulnerability. When we declare our poverty in the spirit, the God of heaven is giving us eternity, and all we gotta do is just receive and give. It's a love that's active and never passive. It is done.
Amen. Aho. Beautiful, man. Good, bro.